Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. Hope you guys have had a great Monday, a great start to your work week. Hope you guys down there in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic are doing okay this evening and recovering. I know the recovery efforts are going to go on probably for the next several days and weeks, but hope you guys are doing okay down there. But we're not done with Hurricane Fiona. Fiona is still going to likely affect a lot more people. People in Bermuda potentially could get heavily impacted, maybe take a direct impact, but it's not likely. But I really think they are at least going to see impacts. And then Southeast Canada, I'm talking about you, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. We got to talk about y'all too. So we're going to break down Fiona first. And then there's a lot of chatter in the weather world about what's going to happen after Fiona. And yes, it is legitimate. There is a chance something gets into the Eastern Caribbean, potentially develops, and then could potentially become something bigger down the road as it gets into the Western Caribbean and maybe in that area we do not want it to get into, which is the Gulf of Mexico, where we have what I call rocket fuel, which you just got all the ingredients there for a very strong hurricane. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But I can tell you, there is some big time model agreement right now as of Monday evening, September 19th, on something getting going with this next area of interest. So I'm going to give you the latest and greatest information. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. It goes a long way. And like the video if you like it. It helps get these videos out there. More people can know what's going on. I try not to do a bunch of hype out there. And it's in times like this where a lot of hype information gets out and people just post stuff without really any detail behind it. So I'm going to break down everything, and we're going to try to break this down. We're also going to talk about the cold front too towards the end of the video. So that's the good news. You know, stay to the end for the rainbow, if you will. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Still asking for prayers from my friend's mom. Her name is Lori. She found out she had cancer about a week ago and got an update from it, and it turns out that it is a little worse than what they thought they were hoping it was going to be. So definitely still asking for prayers for that. So I appreciate you guys. So deep breath, because it's going to be a long video, guys. So stay tuned. We're going to try to give you a lot of good information here. Atlantic Basin as a whole. Obviously, you can see where Fiona is. Fiona has moved off Dominican Republic. It made 2, maybe 3 landfalls if you count the island between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. But it is now moving north of the Dominican Republic. Still a lot of showers and storms to the northeast right now. And then this is the wave right here. Yes, it does not look like much of anything. But this is the wave that could quickly organize as it starts to move into the Windward Islands in the next couple of days, the Leeward Islands, and then move into this area is what we call the Eastern Caribbean. So let's go on and get a closer look at Fiona. Like I said, skip ahead if you really just want to hear about what's going on with this wave behind Fiona. And I know there's a lot of people that just want to hear about that. Just skip right on ahead. Hopefully when I can do this full time, guys, I can make chapters in these videos. But everything just takes a lot of time, especially when you have a family and you work a full-time job. One day, if God's willing, I will do this full time for you guys, and things will be much more prettier, and the setup will be much more better for you guys. But anyways, off that, Fiona, Hurricane Fiona. As of right now, 5 p.m. update, and by the time most of you watch this video, we will have later upgrades and upgrades coming in. But as of 5 p.m., it's a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane. That's a Category 2. So it's getting close to that Category 3 mark. So we need to, I think, go up another 10 to 15 miles per hour. I should know that, but, you know, I'm always going to keep it real with you guys. But this is going to be a Category 3 hurricane here in the next 12 hours. And it's already clearing out of eye. It's not being influenced by land interaction from the Dominican Republic anymore. It's still raining like crazy in areas of Puerto Rico and certainly in areas of the Dominican Republic. But you got the Turks and Caicos Islands right here. You guys are under hurricane warnings. And this could scrape y'all, but luckily the worst part of the storm is right on this side. The side that Puerto Rico got hit the worst with. And it doesn't look like y'all are going to get hit by the worst part of the storm. Y'all are going to get scraped by the western part of the storm. The eastern part of the storm is the worst part of the storm. If I get my directionals mixed up at all, guys, I do apologize. When you're trying to, feed a bunch of information in this video and everything's coming to your brain all at once, I tend to get my directionals mixed up here. But listen, the eye's clearing out here, and this is entering a much more favorable environment. Still dealing with a little bit of shear, but in general, a nice outflow aloft. I'm talking 30, 40,000 feet up in the air. The storm is ventilating, meaning it's pushing air away from the center of the storm, allowing for more air rise. Another look at this, and we can see this here. I mean, this looks like your classic hurricane. The sun is setting on it, but this is the last few frames right before everything went dark on Hurricane Fiona. I have a feeling when we wake up in the morning, this is going to look even more like a monster hurricane, clearing out an eye right now just north of the Dominican Republic. So let's see if we got an update here. We do not. 5 p.m. update. I want to remind you guys, another update will come out in literally 30 to 45 minutes as of right now. So I'm speaking 2 minutes before 7 p.m. Eastern time. This is forecast to become a major hurricane tomorrow afternoon. But I wouldn't be all surprised if we wake up in the morning and this is a major hurricane. So do not be surprised whatsoever. But right now, 100 mile per hour hurricane. I think there's hurricane hunters going into this storm right now, going to see if it can find even higher wind gusts. But I would not be surprised if this is at least upgraded to 105, 110 mile per hour hurricane. But very, very healthy looking hurricane out here. And look, Bermuda is in the cone of uncertainty. So between 2 p.m. Thursday and 2 p.m. Friday, this storm picks up steam. As it loses its tropical characteristics, it starts to interact with a trough, and that's what normally happens. And when this happens, ultimately the main steering current is going to be this trough. Therefore, it's going to gain a lot of ground between Thursday and Friday. And this is when this could quickly scrape Bermuda. Now, this might not make a direct impact to Bermuda, guys. But Bermuda is going to be on the messy side of the storm, meaning some nasty conditions could potentially still go over Bermuda. Now, look how much ground this gains from, well, I would say not ground, ocean. This gains from 2 p.m. Friday to 2 p.m. Saturday. That's a 24-hour span. This is heading right towards areas of Nova Scotia, especially the eastern portions of Nova Scotia, and could potentially make landfall as a very powerful storm in Newfoundland. This is, even though it's going, it's losing its tropical characteristics, going post-tropical, it's still in general a hurricane. I mean, so it's hard to even really look at that or focus in on that because impacts are the same. You look at Hurricane Sandy, that's what Hurricane Sandy did, is technically it lost its tropical characteristics, but it still caused a massive wind field and did a lot of damage. So, forget about all what you want to label it. This is going to potentially impact as early as Friday evening into the weekend for you folks in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. I know I got some people viewing from that area. So quickly, we will mention this is the area of interest, and this might get updated. I think this will probably get upgraded to a 30 or 40% chance by the time some of you watch this per the 8 p.m. update. But as of right now, 20% chance to form in the next 5 days. But like I said, this is going to increase over the next few updates. It is. This might go orange by the time we get to 8 p.m. It might increase to a 40% chance, which if that happens, this little area of yellow will go orange, which is a 40 to, I think, 60% chance. And when you get to 70, this area turns red, which is a high chance to develop. So let's break this down. Now, I know a lot of people are going to focus in on this, but guys, skip ahead. I really want to focus on Fiona. We can't just forget about Fiona. Fiona is still going to affect a lot of people. So we're going to start this off around let's go on and back this up to tomorrow morning. This number right here, the lower it gets, the stronger the storm. So it's saying we're going to wake up tomorrow with a 970 millibar low pressure storm. As of right now, this is, I guess it does not show it here, but this is a powerful storm. I don't have the exact millibar, but a very powerful hurricane. Definitely sub 1,000 millibar hurricane, certainly. So right now, and in fact, I know a way we can do this here. Let's see. Yep, it is a 972 millibar minimum central pressure. So it's already very strong. That's why I think that this has a chance to become, it's already initializing weaker. It's already, right now, it's already a 973 millibar low pressure. So it's saying by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, it's a sub 970. I think by tomorrow afternoon, it will certainly be a major hurricane. But look at it, it's not really affecting the Bahamas, thankfully, but this will quickly strengthen into a major hurricane. It's peaking, I think the peak forecast for this hurricane is 130 miles per hour. And I think the only thing that prevents it from going to a Category 5 hurricane is honestly the sea surface temperatures. They begin to cool up here. There's a nice area of cooler water right into here because of Hurricane Earl. But this is going to go over warmer water because of water that has not been churned up by Hurricane Earl. So this is going to maintain very strong status. And luckily on the latest GFS, this misses to the north. So if you back it up a couple runs, this had this making impacts in Bermuda. So now the GFS in the long term or medium term is trending more towards the European. That's good news for Bermuda, but I still think you guys are going to have direct impacts. Might maybe not get directly slammed by this hurricane, but certainly it'll definitely be giving you guys at least some outer bands at least. Latest European, same thing, strengthens this into a major hurricane, Category 3, Category 4 hurricane, but it misses Bermuda to the west and northwest and to the north, thankfully. So that's some good news for Bermuda, but I certainly think you guys could definitely get under some hurricane watches here in the next couple days, as you know, we still got some deviations as far as the track. Now, my folks up here in Canada, watch this. Now, if you're wondering what time frame we're at, look up here. We're starting this off around, here we go. We're getting into Wednesday afternoon, and then we're getting, here it goes. It's very quickly. We'll stop this overnight Friday into Saturday morning. So this is around literally the middle of the night, Friday night into Saturday morning. This is per the GFS, a sub 940 millibar low pressure, a powerful storm. Even though it's losing its tropical characteristics, powerful storm. Latest GFS has this going almost right between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. But technically it makes landfall probably on the far eastern areas of, western areas of Newfoundland. And look, with cold air around, this actually turns into a blizzard for certain areas of Canada. And this isn't surprising. We're getting into late September. There's going to be some troughing around. So it's pretty incredible to see. But guys, I would go on ahead and prepare, because models are trending toward a direct impact for you folks in Canada, in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia. But go on and prepare for the worst, guys. So we look at the latest, and let's see, we're getting a little sloppy here. I'll have to go back and look at that here in a second. We look at the latest European. What does the European do with Fiona for you folks in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland? I mean, it does pretty much the same thing, except the timeline. I think if you compare the timeline, I think the GFS is much quicker. It's a little bit, not much quicker, but a little bit quicker. The European is a little bit slower, so I reckon you probably won't start seeing impacts really about the same time frame, but I think that the worst impacts will probably come in a little bit later if the European is correct. European, same kind of system. It tracks it maybe initially a little bit further west, but then the European wants this to then track a little bit further east, a little bit longer down the road. So around Saturday evening, this makes landfall in western areas of Newfoundland. Guys, and I can't reiterate this enough. This is going to be a powerful system. I know y'all had some scrapes last year, but this has the potential just to plow right into Newfoundland and still give impacts to Nova Scotia. So what I'm about to show you here, you guys read it in kilometers per hour, if I'm correct here. So, you know, I'll be honest, I don't know how that works in miles per hour. I kind of got a little bit of a idea of how it works, but in general, I know you guys watching in Canada know how this works. So in general, I know this is kind of small on your screen. I'll try to make it as big as possible, but this is as big as I can get it right now. We're getting into Saturday morning. This is the European. And look at Nova Scotia. I mean, this is winds pushing into areas of central to eastern Nova Scotia as we're getting into Friday around midday. This is winds pushing, 140, 160 kilometers per hour. So I would think that's around, 80 to 90 miles per hour, winds pushing into this area as far as miles per hour. But this is very strong winds moving into this area. It has a peak of 221 kilometers per hour, but of course this is way out in the ocean, and I'm pretty sure that's around 140, 150 miles per hour as far as what we read it here in America. But this would bring some very bad impacts to Nova Scotia, and then it moves on over. And then we look at, for my folks in Newfoundland, here it comes. This is moving on through, and let's back it up actually. And here comes the worst winds moving into the area as early as Saturday afternoon, this coming Saturday afternoon. Winds pushing into this area of Newfoundland. Right here, winds pushing 130, 140, maybe as much as 150 kilometers per hour, which is hurricane force winds in miles per hour, pushing 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. St. John's, for you folks, I think the worst as of right now might be on the western parts of Newfoundland. But you guys are still going to be heavily impacted by this with strong winds. Luckily, this is moving very quickly. So go on and be prepared if you're in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia for this, because this could get quite it could certainly get quite impactful, I can tell you that. So let's go on and talk about this area of interest down here. So we're going to get away from Fiona right now. So here comes this area of interest. This is dubbed an area of interest. We're going to start this off by Wednesday morning. Here it is. You see this L right here? Watch what happens per the latest GFS. And I can tell you all day over the last 24 hours, all models, I think, except the Canadian model, has latched on to this. This is beginning to look a little worrisome. I'm not going to lie. So here comes the latest GFS. Moves. GFS wants this to be almost a tropical storm as early as Thursday morning, moving into the Windward Islands, which is right here. Here it is. Don't focus on Fiona. We're done talking about Fiona for now. And here it comes. Gets into the Eastern Caribbean. Maintains strength. We call this the graveyard of the Caribbean because there's a lot of times there's a tut down here enhancing the shear and dry air. So, and I think a big problem with this too is because I think the sea surface temperatures in this area could be a little bit lower due to Fiona turning up the waters here south of Puerto Rico. So this actually might maintain through the weekend as a tropical storm. But as this rides through the Caribbean, we're getting into Saturday evening, we're getting into Sunday morning. If you're confused of what time frame we're at, look up here, September 25th, the morning of Sunday morning. Here we go. I mean, look at this thing just riding through the Caribbean, Central Caribbean. It's strengthening. My folks in Jamaica, the latest GFS has a tropical storm just south of you guys. And then this almost scrapes you guys is a pretty strong tropical storm, maybe low-end Category 1 hurricane as we're getting into this coming Monday. So at this point, we're almost 1 week out. We're pretty far out at this point. So this is moving on through. Then this begins to rapidly intensify. These waters south of Cuba, very warm. Certain areas pushing 90 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised if some buoys out here are 90 degrees, but this becomes a sub 90. And guys, I want to reiterate a million times a million. These are just one model runs, but I can tell you, ensembles are latching onto this. Operational runs are latching onto this, and then the environment aloft is going to favor intensification of anything that gets in the central to western Caribbean, and certainly the Gulf of Mexico. But now we're getting past 1 week out, so it's very unreliable time frame. But we'll keep this going. Look at this; it makes landfall as probably a Category 4 hurricane on the western areas of Cuba. And then we're getting, at this point, 9 to 10 days out, gets into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, turns into probably a monster hurricane. And you're going to see this all over the internet. But please do not just believe it. It's just one model run. You want to see what the model run looked like before this? I'll back up to the run before this. It had the hurricane way over here. Same time frame. And then the run before this had the hurricane way over here. I mean, that's the difference in hundreds, almost 1,000 miles. So just remember that we don't know what it's going to do past 4 days. So, but you know, it plows a Category 3-4 hurricane into the panhandle of Florida, kind of takes the same route as Michael did about 11, 12 days from now. And, you know, we're definitely hoping that doesn't happen, guys. We really are. European, what does the European do? One of the most reliable models out there, if not on average the most reliable model. The European did not bite on the GFS this morning. It did not. It did not like the idea of this happening. But suddenly, European develops this much more slower. But watch here, this little blob of green. We're getting into this weekend. We're getting into Saturday morning. We're getting into Sunday morning. Suddenly, you got an L popping up right here in the 1,004 millibar low pressure. And then this starts to strengthen. Really, that Central Caribbean to Western Caribbean, this being the Central Caribbean, this being the Western Caribbean, this really starts to become those grounds or those waters and the conditions that really favor big-time intensification. Certainly, the European is not going to go quite as aggressive as the GFS. And remember, the European normally likes to slowly inch its way into a solution. It doesn't like to just bang, show something crazy like the GFS. But I will tell you, the European made a drastic shift with this. So European at this point has probably a Category 1, close to a Category 2 in the Western Caribbean. And then it starts to leak into the Gulf of Mexico. And watch how this number begins to slowly but quickly drop at the same time. Wednesday morning, this is 9 to 10 days out. And then kind of the same deal. This is 10 days out, which is as far out as the Euro goes. Not this Thursday morning, but the last Thursday morning of September, has a major hurricane staring down the Gulf Coast line here. So The GFS and the European have it. We look at the latest icon just to look at it, and this is only going to go 120 hours out, but it likes the idea of showing some development down here this weekend, and this is this weekend too, so not too far away. Some development here, well south of Dominican Republic and developing. So one thing I'll tell you, this is the European right now. Actually, let's go on and show it this way. This is what the European showed 24 hours ago. Actually, this is what the European showed 12 hours ago. Last night. Actually, I would say 12. Basically, it was the European run from last night's run. This is the European run from this afternoon's run, so about 12 or so hours. So this is the run from last night. Shows hardly nothing. Shows a vortice down here, but nothing much at all. The latest run, look at the drastic change. A tight vortice, a developing hurricane at this point. Next for at about 7 days from now. That's a drastic shift from the European. Now, it can just as well go drastic the other way, but I don't know, guys. I just got a funny feeling about this system, and it's not necessarily the best feeling. It could be totally wrong. Could be. Here's the ensemble support for it. The latest run from the European has about 30 to almost 40 runs, L's here. I would say about 35 L's here. So about 35 out of 50 members show something forming about a week out. And of course, if you keep this going, it's going to show some doomsday scenarios developing. And, okay, all right, there it is. And here it goes. You got these members entering the Gulf of Mexico and rapidly intensifying. Latest GEFS ensembles, the ensembles for the GFS. Here it goes, a different way to look at it from Tropical Tidbits. And sure enough, here's that signal. Only makes up about 31 members here, but there's a lot of members getting into the Eastern Caribbean. And this is a pretty strong signal. But you notice once it gets into the Central Caribbean, this starts to get kind of spread out here. So it becomes much more sloppy. And of course, you would expect this about 8 days out, which is around where this system should be if there's going to be a system, which is looking like there's a decent probability that there is. So, just be safe out there, because I can tell you with Fiona, the reason Fiona is going to have an opportunity to really rapidly intensify, I mean, here it is right here. I can tell you the European is not initializing well at all. But in general, I'll show you the European. You got a decent outflow, a little bit of that westerly shear still affecting it. But in general, you see these winds moving in the opposite direction as the actual circulation at the base. That tells us that there's an excellent outflow. This thing is ventilating, it's breathing, and it's rapidly intensifying. At the same time, here comes the European with this system right here. Here it is. You see how these wind streams of these little arrows are moving in the opposite direction as the actual tropical system. There's going to be an excellent ULAC, which is basically an anticyclonic cyclone or whatever on top of the storm. And we've talked about this. So basically the upper levels in the environment is going to be very supportive. And we don't even have to talk about sea surface temperatures in the Caribbean. They're going to be well supportive for development. So sea surface temperatures are warm. It's mid-late September. The waters are very warm down there in the upper 80s in some cases. And the shear is going to lighten up. So it's going to have all the opportunity in the world to become a big hurricane if it makes it in the short term, which I don't see why it wouldn't, to be honest. The only thing that I can say stops it is right now it just looks very sloppy. It looks like it's going to have to get its act together here within the next 72 hours for models to really be correct. And it's kind of worrisome that the models already like the idea of this developing when, it looks so bad out there right now. But, it's just a wave. It's just a weak wave. So, that's kind of what I'm expecting here. So, here we go. Let's talk about this cold front. These are dew points. Very warm across a lot of the country. But as we get into later this week, this is Thursday morning. Look at this dry air oozing into areas of the Ohio Valley. This surges in. This is going to be an abrupt shift to the air mass, especially for the folks in the South that will experience 90s throughout most of the work week. And I'm talking about there's going to be areas Thursday that get almost to 100 degrees in the deep South, in the mid-South maybe. And then you'll wake up some Friday morning and it'll just feel like a different season, literally. It'll go from summer to fall overnight. And this is going to be the case. Here it comes, dew points. It's not going to be very humid even with the heat, but it's just going to be so hot this week. It's going to heat up each day all the way till Thursday. But here comes this dry air surging. I'm talking about a phenomenal weekend across, especially the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast. The humidity begins to rise again for the western areas of the Southeast and the South Central U.S. But in general, what's good is this one cold front moves through right here. Brings a lot of dry air for the weekend. Then it moderates, and then a second cold front moves through. This affects, and this is kind of far out, but this affects more areas of the South in general, and maybe this can dive a little bit deeper into Florida. But, I mean, this is a heck of an air mass right here. Dew points in the 40s, 50s, 30s for almost everybody in the eastern U.S. As far as temperatures, what does this look like? I'll show you Thursday high temperatures. Shreveport almost hitting 100. Jackson, Mississippi, 95. Birmingham, 93, 97 degrees. Atlanta, low to mid-90s. Columbia, low to mid-90s. Charlotte, in the 90s. And then look at this. Look up in Nashville as this cold front's already moving through. Highs only in the 70s. That's a pretty sharp cold front for late September standards, guys. It really is. You typically don't see this sharp of cold fronts. Sharp meaning just one extreme to the other in a 24-hour period. So we go on and move into Friday. The cold front's moving through the south. And then this is potential high temperatures for Friday. I would say bump this up a couple degrees because this is 18Z Friday. We really need to look at 21Z, which is mid-afternoon. So you're going to go from the mid-90s, for example, in Columbia, South Carolina, to maybe highs to only in the upper 70s with extremely dry air. It's going to feel like fall. You're literally going to go from summer to fall from Thursday to Friday across a large part of the country. And then look at the low temperatures for our Saturday morning. It's going to be almost chilly from the upstate of South Carolina points north. Atlanta's 50s, Columbia 50s, Charlotte 50s, and there's going to be some isolated 40s as far south as South Carolina. I really think so. And then the air mass is going to hold on for the weekend. And then another cold front comes. 27-minute video, guys, but I hope this information finds you well. Hope this helps you guys out. God bless all y'all. Have a great weekend. And let's see if there's another update per the National Weather Service. Let's see. And there is not. So 8 p.m. update comes up here in a second. And this will probably get upgraded to 105, 110 mile per hour hurricane. I would not be surprised. But anyways, God bless all y'all. Stay safe, and I'll have you another big update in the morning. God bless.